available, always reliable, always keeping, always protecting, always giving, always going where he's coming from and coming from where he's going, always listening. And he promised, lo, I'll be with you always.
May the grace of God Good afternoon. Praise the Lord. It's another Tuesday, and welcome to Noonday Bible Study. As always, it's a blessing for us to get together to talk about how we can become better people for the Lord Jesus Christ. And so that's one of the reasons why we wanted to work our way through this particular reading. Well done. It's a challenging time, and sometimes we take our frustrations out on those who we love the most and those who love us the most. And so it's a good time for us to talk about relationships and how we can have win-win relationships. And so that has been the emphasis of the Well Done series. So again, welcome to all of our visiting friends from across the nation. God bless you. Thank you so much for studying with us on the Tuesday, the Noonday Bible Study. As always, please continue as you are being prayerful. Continue to wear your mask. Continue to wash those hands. And, of course, to stay about 6 feet or so away from others. We're protecting others, but we're also protecting ourselves. All right, let's get right to today's study. We want to continue with interacting with others like Jesus. Again, Jesus impacted lives on spot. People were never the same once they had an encounter with him. And so we want to have that same type of experience with people. And so it begins with us wanting to have positive experiences with individuals, us wanting to be known as people who encourage and inspire and motivate people to do their best and to be their best. But of course, we know that is a process. Let's revisit those different responses when we people perform or when they're achieve or when they're doing something that we don't necessarily agree with. We initially talked about no response. We raised a question. Anne Marie says she asked this question across the nation about what do people say when they do something right, and she says that answer across the board was nothing. They only hear from people when they do something wrong. And so we want to, when we catch people doing right, we want to take a look at how we respond to that. So the first no response, that is, we just don't say anything. We just don't do anything. And again, no news is good news. If you don't hear anything, that means you're doing well. But if you hear something, then that means you're not doing well. So that's no response. But then secondly, it's the negative response. And this can come across with a look. This can come across with some type of gesture. This can come across as someone simply saying, well, you just doing what you should be doing the right thing, or about time you learn how to do it. And so those are negative responses. And today we want to spend most of our time on redirecting people as well as providing a positive response. Those are the two responses we want to work on today. Listen to a quote by Anne Marie Butler. She says, if you grew up being got-you'd, that is, catch people doing wrong, if you grew up with that type of experience, then maybe you have tended to perpetuate it on others. That is to say, if you and I grew up around people, whether it was home, whether it was school, whether it was people in the family or the neighborhood, who always talked about what we were not doing right, then that has in some way impacted the way we look at people and what we look for and how we respond to people, whether that be spouse, sibling, children, co-worker, anyone. If we tend to look for what is wrong and then say something about it, as opposed to looking for something that is right, and then when we see it, say something positive about it. That gives a sense of kind of what we grew up with. And sometimes we have to be delivered from those types of mindset, those types of responses. So we'll say a little bit more about the challenge of changing if we grew up that way. Then we're going to talk about how we can shift and how we can become more effective in giving positive responses. So the redirection response, Roman numeral 2, Butler helps us with this. And here again, she's talking about how they would, the trainers would train these whales at SeaWorld. For example, if you would see them jump over ropes or jump through a hoop, it is said that what they would do, they knew the whales knew how to jump out of the water. They knew that, but they didn't know how to jump over ropes. And so what they would do, they would put these ropes beneath when they would be out in the ocean. They would put the ropes near the bottom. The whales would automatically, they would swim over the rope. And so they just kept raising it and kept raising it and kept raising it until finally they saw that the whales liked doing it, and so they would reward them every time they would do it. And so they kept raising and raising. Eventually, they were able to raise it out of the water, and the whales began to jump over it. Now, there were some instances where the whales would go around it, or the whales wouldn't do it. And so what they would do was that they would ignore what they were doing, and then they would again bring them back, and they would continue to do it until the whale would do it. And so again, they would reward them once they did it, but when they were not doing it right, they didn't punish the whales. So that speaks to how do we, the relationships that we have, again, spouse, children, sibling, co-workers, people in the faith, etc. When something is not going right in those relationships, how do we redirect people? How do we encourage? How do we inspire individuals to the next level or to bring out their best? And this is what is called the redirection response. So let's say we're having two siblings, and one of our sibling is doing something we wish they wouldn't do. And so we have a conversation. Number one, describe the error as soon as possible, clearly, and then without blame. So we share what we wish they wouldn't do, and then we would tell them why we wish they wouldn't do it, and how things would be much better if they wouldn't do it. And so we immediately describe what is going on immediately and make sure that the individuals respond, or they understand why we wish they wouldn't do it. And then we don't necessarily say, or try to find out why they keep doing it or why they keep saying it, what have you. But we make sure that there is communication. Number two, we in some way, again, show the negative impact in terms of, it could be the negative impact on the relationship. It could be if the individual has an issue with, excessive spending, then we got to talk about the negative impact of that, or whatever it is. If a child not doing well in the classroom, child not doing well as it relates to reading, anything like that, we have to share the negative results of that. Number three, we give them another chance to do what they have not been so good at doing it. So go over the do-over. It's not over. It's not a wrap. And here again, you think about Jesus when he says to that woman, that the Pharisees brought into his midst. He says, "Go and sin no more." And Jesus would often tell them, unless something worse come upon you. I mean, so he was definitely sharing the impact of certain things. And so we also do this in our relationship. Then number 4, we encourage. We encourage. We encourage. Now, to encourage is to reinforce or to reaffirm our feelings towards one another. And here again, sometimes in our relationships, and we're talking about all of our relationships, when we're not pleased with a behavior, when we're not pleased with an action, we have to make sure that individuals are not saying that we are disappointed in them. No, we are disappointed in their actions. We are not rejecting them, but we're rejecting the actions. And so there is a major difference in how we come across and how they perceive what we're saying. Because if they feel rejected, that we have rejected them, if we no longer believe in them, then what we have done is that, remember early on we talked about building trust. Then the trust factor is no more, because we have rejected them as individuals. So we encourage, and here again, this is something that we have to practice on if in fact we grew up in an environment where there was nothing but discouragement, negativity, and on and on. Okay? So that's the redirection response. Well, we try to, in some way, focus on what an individual is doing well, and then when we come across something that they're not doing well, then we in chance give them another chance, and we affirm that they can do it, and we encourage them to do it. That's how we accentuate the positive. We eliminate the negative by accentuating the positive. But if we embrace the negativity, we are getting rid of the positivity. So let me move now to Roman number 3. But first, this is a statement here that I want us to hear. Praise progress. Praise progress. It is a moving target, and that is to say, sometimes when people are doing a good job, and we don't say anything about them doing a good job, we have missed that moment to encourage, motivate, and to inspire. Now, if here again, now if we see people doing a good job, and they see us looking at them, and then we say something like, "Well, I'm just checking to make sure you're doing what you're supposed to do," that's not a positive response. Or if they're making progress in doing it, then we say, "Yeah, it took you long enough." Those are negative responses, and we are not accentuating the positive when we do that. We are, however, accentuating the positive when we in some way praise what they are doing. It's a pat on the back. It's positive reinforcement, a job well done, and so forth. And as soon as, here's the difference between catching people doing wrong and catching people doing right. If we look for the bad in people, you will always find it. Always. And if you look for the good in people, then it's there too, but there is some work involved with it. So again, praise progress. Again, not perfection, but progress. Not even, sometimes people are not necessarily doing it right, but they are doing things better. So we got to watch that, and when we see it, we got to give praise for it. It's a moving target, she says. Now let's move to the positive response, and here is what Blanchard talks about in his book when he's talking about well done. This is that next level. So go ahead and put them up. There are about 3 or 4 of them. Number 1, praise immediately. As soon as something happens in our relationship, as soon as it happens, I mean, give the praise right there. I mean, we miss these moments sometimes. We miss these moments sometimes when someone has, let's say, prepared a great meal, and then 2 days later we say, you know, that's what you cooked Sunday. That sure was good. And that's two. I mean, 2 days later, and we're just now saying something about it. And see, here again now, depending upon what we're accustomed to, if it's challenging for us to say thank you and to give encouragement and to affirm, we got to work on it. But here again, we're trying to have these win-win relationships. And so here, the well done is that praise immediately. When those killer whales perform progressively, when they jump over the hoops, when they jump over the ropes, they praise them immediately. It's not later on, but it is immediate response. Okay? And so then sometimes we're thinking, so you mean to tell me every time somebody do something good, I need to say something? Yes, I am. But it's the rate. Again, here again, I guarantee you, when we get used to it, I mean, it feels good to encourage others, and it feels good to others to be encouraged. So we praise immediately, but then be specific about the progress. That is to say, we know individuals, all of us are on a journey. We have not reached it yet. And so God encourages, God inspires, God gives us grace, God gives us mercy. His Spirit lives inside of us. God continues to give us chance after chance to do it. Sometimes we fail. He didn't fire us. He gives us another chance. And so we need to be specific about the progression that is taking place in our relationships. For an example, let's just say we're training our child, the baby, to use the potty. Now, when they do it, we don't, wait 3 hours later and say, you did a good job today. You used the potty today. No, we praise them immediately, okay? And then sometimes they almost made it to the potty. They were going there, but they didn't make it. That's progress. At least they knew it was time to go to the potty. They were on their way, and so we have to even watch how we respond to that. Or it's like a child just learning to walk, okay? Say the child takes one step and then falls to the ground. We still say, hey, you walk. Now they took one step, but it's the progress that we're after. So whatever progress that you and I see in people, whatever type of relationship it is, we need to praise it immediately, and we need to be specific about the progress. If the child took one step, you walked today. Good. You used a potty today. Good. You were almost there. Good. So whatever the progress was, okay, we want to be specific. Then number 3 here, share feelings about the results. I am so proud of you. Thank you so much for not doing that again. Thank you so much for taking my emotions into consideration. I know you don't like it when I do such and such, but thank you so much for giving me another chance. Thank you for taking my feelings into consideration. So again, sharing feelings about the results. I think we've got a question, okay? All right. Okay. 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 The question is, what about the person who anticipates or expect immediate praise? You don't typically give it to them right away. You're going to give it to them, but how do you deal with them who expect it right away? Well, if you know what you're dealing with, then you're going to have to decide how you're going to deal with that. Okay? If you know what you're dealing with, then you got to know how you're going to deal with that. Yes, and I'm going to talk about that in a moment. So what Christy was saying here is that there, it's not that she does not want to give it immediately, but her mindset is going to, she's going to have to work on her mindset in giving it sooner, because if the relationship is going to be a win-win, then this is something she understands that she's going to have to take she's going to have to change how soon she give it for the sake of the relationship. Okay? And that's one of the adjustments that you make. And I'm going to talk about this a little later. Okay? Any other questions at this point? Okay? All right. So we praise immediately. We be specific about the progress. Share feelings about the results. I mean, you know, here again, if it was a great meal, I mean, I think we can do better than say, it was good. It was pretty good. I mean, that was a great meal. It was not too spicy. I mean, whatever it was, give those specific results and be sincere about it, and then encourage people to continue. Okay, great. You use your time wisely. Great job. Great job. Continue to do that. You are on your way. So give encouragement. I didn't have to wake you up this morning. You got up on your own. Great job. Or whatever it is. You didn't leave your clothes in the middle of the floor. You're on your way. I didn't have to remind you to make up your bed. Whatever the progress is, I'm talking about all our relationships. Give it to them and encourage people when they're doing better. Here again, we're not talking about perfection, but they are making progress. So let's encourage them to continue. And here we're talking about win-win relationships here. Then number 4, making progress, not reaching perfection. I mentioned that earlier, and so let me say a little bit about that now. Now, if this again is something new for us, that is, we're just not accustomed to catching people doing right and then doing something or saying something about what we see, then it's a process. So it requires, number 1, patience. It requires patience. Not only patience with them, but also patience with ourselves, because this is something we're just not used to doing, and so we don't want to be too hard on ourselves. But again, it's in our heart that we want to be encourager. We want to inspire others. We want to be positive. We want to learn how to focus on the good that people are doing. And so that takes time. So it takes patience. But then number 2, self-control. Now this speaks to the question that Christy raised about sometimes this requires self-control on different levels. Number 1, if we are known to point out the negative, then you're going to have to corral that type of response, and you're going to have to catch yourself. Or if we're sarcastic, you got to catch that. Or if we know they're waiting on us to say something, and this will be a good time to get them back, you got to be careful with that too. So this requires self-control. The goal has to be, I want to focus on the good. I want to lift up the positive. I want to inspire. I want to encourage. I want to motivate. I want to see the good in people and respond to the good that I see. And it takes self-control. So if in that case, sometimes people are expecting us to say something right away, and we know that is the case, it doesn't hurt anything for us to say something as soon as we see it. It just doesn't hurt. And eventually, hopefully eventually, then that person will know that we are looking for the good. We expect the good in them. We want them to do well. And then they will kind of back off or back away from always having to hear that they're doing a great job. There are different times when we want to hear it. There are different times when we need to hear it. Okay? Now, and if we are at a place where we have to hear it in order to do well, then that says more about us as individuals than anybody else encouraging or motivating us. So again, it's patience, is self-control on that. Okay? Question? Your question, Karen? Okay. So patience is going to take time because it's new, it's different. Self-control, we got to know, even if we're having negative thoughts, okay, I don't necessarily have to speak on that. Or if I could say this, no, I'm not going to say that. Here is an occasion for me to focus. This is a moment where I can give praise to a person's actions. Then number 3, change what we look for. Here again, the negative always sticks out. I mean, the negative is just waving his hands and look at me, here I am. And so it is almost by nature for some to dwell on the negative. What's wrong? What's not going right? What we wish we had? What we or why we don't have this. I mean, so the negative is there. So we have to change what we're looking for. And even if people are always negative, even then we can turn that around. Okay. The question is, why is the negative so easy to see? Well, here again, for some people, that is their mindset. Okay, that is their mindset. I mean, if I come in wanting to find a reason to chastise the custodial staff, okay, I can. Okay, I'm looking for a reason. My insides are churning. I'm getting energy. I'm trying. Yeah. Think they've done a good job. Let me show them. Yeah, you're not doing as good a job as you think you are. So you see, it's a mindset, and so this is something we got to work on. Okay, so change what we look for. And then number 4, verbal or tangible response. We want to say something. Again, don't just keep it to ourselves. I mean, think about this. What good does it do if we keep it to ourselves? You know what? I'm really proud of my kids. Man, I'm proud of them. And let's keep that to myself. Why not tell them? Okay? And then a verbal response or a tangible response. Okay. Since you've done a better job of picking your things up in your room, I tell you what. I am going to tell you what, we'll do ice cream. We'll do ice cream today. A tangible response. Giving something or responding to something that they enjoy. Or if it's co-worker or something, responding in a way, that is a tangible response. Okay. So in essence, all what we've been talking about is to accentuate the positive, is what Blanchard calls it, accentuate the positive. And when we do that, we eliminate the negative. Now, this is a mindset. This is a disposition. And here again, we look at Jesus, and Jesus knew what was in people. He knew the image of God, the likeness of God was in people, and he came to redeem. He came to restore. And so Jesus was always about that redemptive quality that exists in every human being. No individual is beyond the redemption of God. And so even when Jesus would challenge people, it was always for a greater cause. It was for a higher call. And so everybody he met, he changed their lives forever. And so we want to, in some way, be life changing agents for God. And so it begins with us trying to have that type of impact within the relationships we have, and not necessarily waiting to go outside and have impact in the lives of people we don't even know. No, it starts with the relationship that we currently have. Again, our spouses, our siblings, our children, other family members. Listen, trust me, we got more than enough work to do with just those relationships. And if we, and again, we're in this COVID-19 experience has made it tough to focus on the positive in all our relationships, because people are under stress, people are frustrated, people feel trapped, they can't go nowhere, they can't move. It seems like there's no light at the end of the tunnel. And so all of that, and what do? We tend to take our frustrations out on the people we love and the people who love us. We tend to do that. We don't take our, and then sometimes times have gotten so bad that we'll take it out on a total stranger. So here again, we want to do a better job of with our relationships. And so here again is another reason why we wanted to talk about the power of positive relationships. So here again, we got more than enough relationships to work on. And so we can start with those current relationships that we have. So any questions? We're good. Okay. All right. So remember, accentuate the positive, eliminate the negative. We want to have that type of impact that Jesus had on the lives of others. Now remember, we are always responding to people's behavior. Even when we don't respond, that's a response. Okay? And so we have to remember, whatever we focus on the most or whatever we focus on the least, we are reinforcing. That is to say, if I nitpick everything you do wrong, I'm reinforcing how I feel about you and what I think of you. I'm reinforcing that. So you don't have to wonder what I think, because I show it to you by what I say and how I respond to what you're doing. The opposite is also true. If I'm encouraging, if I'm motivating, if I highlight your progress, then what I'm doing is I'm reinforcing the positive views and thoughts that I have of you, and I'm affirming that by the way I respond. So remember, whatever we say or do, or don't say or do, we're reinforcing it. We're reinforcing something. Okay? All right. Have a good Tuesday. Look forward to our time together in the Word on tomorrow night. Take care. Be safe. Be sensible. Be smart. Have a good Tuesday.
Trials to everyone. Troubles on every side. It seems to going through on your own. The storm may rise, and the wind may blow. The rain may fall, but the sun will shine again. Don't you fret. My God has never failed me yet. Don't you worry. Oh, no. Don't you fret. Oh, my God has never failed me yet. Don't you worry. Don't you worry. Don't you fret. Don't you fret. My God has never failed me yet. My God has never failed me yet. Don't you worry. Don't you worry. Hold on, stay in the race. Hold on. Don't you give up. You just hold on, stay in the race. Yeah. Don't you give up. Hold He will never leave you, no. I'm gonna wait on the Lord. They that wait upon the Lord, yeah. He shall renew thy strength. Oh yeah. Hold on. God's gonna make everything all right. Yes, He will. I'm encouraged tonight that God's gonna make everything all right. I don't care what you're going